Hi guys.
Welcome to Barandalan Balikbayan. It's me, Joanna, and
Mike.
so today we're going to give you some tips, guys, on how to come to Canada, how to apply for your visas, pointers, the fees, etc., etc., etc. And I hope it would help you guys.
A lot of Filipino, when I was in the Philippines, were asking how to go to Canada. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of agencies proposing to bring you to Canada with fees and stuff. So today, I hope I'm gonna make some points here and tell you the exact truth about how to come to Canada. What is the requirement to come to Canada?
And are you qualified
You
to
have
apply
to be obviously qualified
to come here to Canada?
And we'll discuss these things one point at a time. So first, to come to Canada, you have three options. You could be coming to Canada under family sponsorship. You could be coming to Canada as a skilled worker with an express work entry. Or
that includes caregiver thing, yeah?
No.
Oh,
express
okay.
entry is
Good to
for
know.
skilled workers. You have to apply online and all that. There's certain requirements if you meet. And there's also the program for refugees. If you're in a war country, whatever, and you could apply for refugee. Otherwise, Filipino doesn't apply because your country is stable right now. And the last way to come to Canada is as a caregiver program. So we're going to discuss these programs one by one. I printed some papers here just to be able to follow the thoughts one at a time, but mostly all the information I already did it because I applied many times and I filled the applications and I already know all the
For
fees
me.
for her. So first, let's discuss the family sponsorship. To come to Canada as under the family sponsorship, first of all, you have to have someone in Canada to sponsor you. Someone in Canada has to be either, let's say Joanna wants to bring her parents to Canada, she's allowed. She wants to bring her child to Canada, she's allowed. Brothers and sisters and cousins and all that, they have to be orphans and they have to be under the age of 18. So that is out of the question already, right there. To do the family sponsorship, it's a long process. It's a lot of documents, but I will guide you through it. First thing you do, you have to go online and we're gonna put the links at the bottom. You could apply yourself. You don't need any middle agent. The documentation is all in English. I know most Filipino read English and understand it,
Yep.
understand it perfectly. It's just that the nosebleed is when they have to talk.
And if you have any questions, guys, don't worry. You could comment down below and we'll be ready to answer. We will be very happy to help you
Absolutely.
guys.
Ask the questions and I will reply. At least you know where where you're going. So first thing is, if you have somebody in Canada, let's say
Auntie or cousin.
Not auntie or cousin. It has to be brother, it has to be sister, it
Okay,
has to
like
be a spouse.
first family something.
It gotta be, let's say Joanna's in Canada, she wants to sponsor her mom, she wants to sponsor her dad. Reverse it on you, the situation. She could apply for her mom, she could apply for her dad, she could apply for her daughter, and she could apply for brothers and sisters and all that under the age of 18 if they're orphans. So let's say Joanna wants to apply for a family sponsorship. The first step is to go on the Canadian website, the Government of Canada, and to fill a lot of applications. I will put the link for the application that you have to fill first. Depending on which province you are in also, we will discuss that later. So first you fill the application and the requirements, 60 million questions that you have no way of avoiding. You have to answer all these questions.
You have to be very patient and accurate with your
So
answers.
first you fill the application, then you pay the fees. The fee on the federal level, because Canada is a federation of all the provinces. So first you pay the federal fees, which is about $550. And if you are selected and if you're accepted on the federal level, you have to pay the balance, which is about $490. So the total for the federal government is about $1,040 to come to Canada. For Quebec, because we live in Quebec, Quebec just raised the fees to $798. It used to be $550 or $475. So now for Quebec only, you have to pay $798 to get the Certificat de Sélection du Québec in French, which is the Certificate of Selection of Quebec. That certificate of selection of Quebec is only required for Quebec.
It doesn't apply in Toronto
Or the rest of Canada, the English provinces. For most Filipino applying under family sponsorship, if you have someone in Quebec, then that applies to you if you want to come to Quebec. If not, it is not required for the rest of the provinces. So we discussed the first step for the family sponsorship. You apply online. Once you apply online, you will receive a confirmation from the federal government also that will give you another link to continue with the questions, etc., etc.
They'll be very helpful anyway, right?
They're
And
very
explain,
helpful.
Yeah, they send them the...
Mostly they
send them the
communicate
link,
by
yeah.
email. Do not attempt to communicate by phone. I did because I work at home and I could sit and put it on the speaker or wait for the music. Sometimes it could take half an hour before they answer, but they do answer all your questions. They do guide you through it. And do not expect the immigration officer on the phone, if you ever call from Canada, I'm talking, to follow up on a file. He will not give you any information pertaining to when you're going to get your visa, etc. He's not allowed. He's just going to help you where you're stuck, what to do, etc., etc., and clarify the information. So once you get that first email from the Canadian Embassy that they received your application, etc., etc., the hope that you are accepted, you will get an answer that you are eligible. Eligible doesn't mean accepted yet. Once you have that eligibility done, you have to get medical exam, you have to get police certification.
And
Now,
BI clearance, all those
and eye clearance
things.
and all that stuff. So Joanna, for instance, was in Dubai when I did all that stuff, and then she moved to the Philippines. So she had a police certificate clearance from Dubai. She needed another one from the Philippines because Canada look at you as a Filipino. Doesn't matter if you're in Dubai.
Yep.
Now, if you're in Dubai or if you're overseas applying, it gets more complicated. Like Dubai, for instance, it takes about 16 months, while in the Philippines it takes about 13 months.
13 months, to be exact.
To be exact, it took 13 months. So it's better off for you to be in your home country. You get your police clearance from, what's it called?
NBI.
NBI, you get
I
your
did my
NBI.
NBI clearance there. But my medical, I did it in Dubai because it was, they come by installment sometimes.
Yeah, what I did for the medical, so you know, once you get the approval to go ahead for the medical, they will send you few medical clinics that are certified with the Canadian Embassy that you have to go to. So what I did to Joanna, she was still in Dubai. I did send her the list of the clinics that are approved by the Canadian Embassy, and she went ahead and did the medical exam before they even requested it from the Canadian Embassy, because I already knew the procedure. So what I did, I downloaded the medical exam forms, I filled them, and I got the clinic addresses. So I sent her to do the medical exam before they requested it. So once they requested it, we already had the medical exam ready and all that stuff. As far as the police certification, we got it from Dubai because she was in Dubai. But then she decided to move and wait in the Philippines. So she had to get the police certification from Philippines. Cut for now. So now the $1 million question. Once you get your medical exam done, the police certification, everybody tends to be impatient. When am I going to get an answer from the government? When am I going to get an answer from the immigration? They do not care, okay?
By the way, based on my experience, they reply to you after 3 months.
After 3 months.
It's not like you email them right now and they're gonna reply right away. No, you
get
have to be really patient.
You get an automatic reply first from the immigration officer that we received your email, etc., etc. It doesn't mean they're gonna reply to you, but they definitely reply to you and tell you where you're at. Now, if you are under the family sponsorship program and you've been through the whole procedure, medical exam, police certification, and all that stuff, rest assured it's going to take 13 months exactly if you're in the Philippines to come to Canada.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you know, what to do, etc. In Joanna's case, what I did, I went to see the deputy of Laval. We live in the city of Laval under the federal deputy because we have also provincial deputies and federal deputies here. And I told her that her application has been stuck for a while and I don't get any replies. The deputy has the authorization and the power to pick up the phone and phone the immigration, and they do reply to him. So it helped somehow when I went to see the deputy because I got a reply immediately from the Canadian government, Immigration Canada, and also Manila replied to me. When I say Manila, meaning the Canadian Embassy in Manila replied to me immediately. And finally, the entire process for family sponsorship was like 13 months, and Joanna landed here July
18.
2016. But it took exactly 13 months and she was here. So that is for the family sponsorship. And now, if you're coming to the province of Quebec, remember, you also have to do the Certificat de Sélection du Québec, which is
Certificate of Quebec.
Selection Certificate of Quebec. So Quebec has to accept you. I want to just explain one thing here about Quebec. If you're living in Quebec and you're sponsoring somebody from Quebec, it is easier somehow. Why? Because under the federal law, under the immigration program, if you live in let's say in the rest of Canada, I mean the province of Manitoba, Alberta, British Columbia, Northwest Territory, Nova Scotia, all English Canada. Even if you're sponsoring your spouse or your wife,
or your common law, whatever.
Or common law, you must have at least certain salary, which is $30,000 salary to be able to sponsor. While if you live in the province of Quebec, the salary does not apply. It doesn't matter. They want husband and wife to be together, so that condition is already removed.
Yep.
Which is a plus for Quebec.
Plus point for Quebec.
Certificat de Sélection to Quebec is $475. Today I just checked before we started the video, and sadly they raised it because Quebec is always like that. $798 for Certificat de Sélection de Quebec to be issued or to apply on the forms for Quebec, which I will put also the link at the bottom. How to go for Quebec, how to apply for Quebec also. What I did also in Joanna's case, because I knew the procedure, I applied to Quebec. I did not wait for the federal government to send me a link where to apply in Quebec. So I already applied to the Certificat de Sélection du Québec, Certificate of Selection of Quebec, before the government requested it. Quebec issues the Certificate de Sélection 21 days. 21 days she was already accepted in Quebec. That's how fast they are. The problem we have and the length of time you have to wait is from the federal government. They're understaffed, they don't have enough people in immigration, blah, blah, blah. The excuses are always, we're doing this screening, the police screening. It's not like you work for the CIA or Secret Service or whatever. It's just the procedure. The procedure is there. You can't avoid, sadly, the procedure.
You have to wait, guys. I'm sorry, but
be patient.
It's part of it.
Go through it. And before I forget, do not go through those immigration agencies that promise you we could get you
accelerate
to
the process, speed up the process, etc.
No, beside the accelerated process and speed up the process, like I've seen few in Manila that promise you they could get you a visa to Canada. Nobody could get you a visa to Canada unless you are accepted by the federal government under the conditions: family sponsorship, a caregiver program, or skilled worker program. So those guys, if they promise you the moon, they're lying to you. If you do not have the skill to work in Quebec, you're not a caregiver, or you don't have a spouse or a wife
or relative,
in Canada. So don't spend your money and blow your money out of the window for nothing. That is for family sponsorship. Now I put my glasses because I need to read about the express entry work, since I haven't done it for anyone, but it's very easy also, the process. If you want to come to Canada under the program express entry work, you gotta be skilled worker for the Canadian provinces. I'm not too sure about which jobs are skilled, but I could just give you
plenty anyway.
Plenty of jobs for skilled worker in oil
companies,
companies, also in computer science, like programmers and all that stuff. These are highly demanded in Canada.
Even doctors and nurses.
Doctors and nurses also are required, because we're lacking a lot of doctors in Canada. So what you do, first thing is, I'm going to put a link also on the immigration website for the skilled worker. What you do first, you have to find out if you're eligible to come as a skilled worker to Canada. So basically, you go on the website, you answer few questions they're going to ask you. Very easy questions, like what do you do, what diplomas, etc. Language issues, if you speak English, you speak French, etc., etc. Once you go through that a few questions, you find out if you're eligible to continue the process. Let's assume you're already eligible to continue the process. Step 2, you have to get all your documents ready for the next step. They will request documents based on like language test results and all that stuff. So they're gonna request documents from you. The third step is to submit your profile. When you get all your documents they request from you, you submit your profile, your diplomas, etc. Then they require the usual stuff. The usual stuff is the police certificate, the police clearance, the medical exam, which we discussed in the first segment. Same process.
Yep.
They will assign a few medical centers approved by the Canadian embassies of your Canadian embassy in your country, and you go there and you do all the tests, etc., etc. And once it's out of your hair, there's also for the express entry, there's also the fund proofs. You have to prove that you have enough funds. Proof of funds. You have to prove that you have funds to come and work in Canada. And then all I know about that is step 4, you will receive an invitation for permanent residence in Canada under the skilled worker program. You have to complete the same process as family sponsorship.
It's
a lot
almost
of questions.
the same.
It's almost the same.
actually.
It's just the questions are different because nobody's sponsoring you as a skilled worker. So you got to fill all the questions, all the answers. You have to provide all the answers to everything. It takes about 6 months or less under skilled worker program. If you're approved, you get your visa, and here you go. Bingo! Welcome to the cold.
Yep.
You'll be in Canada. You'll be freezing your ass. Now, next step, the caregiver program. The caregiver program, there's a lot of ambiguity around it. Before it used to be easy, but in 2019 what they did, they put more conditions
They
under
put a lot of conditions.
the child care provider pilot program it's called.
Or something.
So again, it's the same thing. We'll put the links. You have to provide, first you have to answer a few questions to see if you're eligible for the caregiver program. You have to have a job offer to work in these occupations in Canada. So meaning somebody in Canada must invite you to be a caregiver for him, but you also have to be certified as a caregiver.
Yep.
Because this occupation is restricted in Canada because they want people from Canada to work in it, but again, nobody cares in Canada to work as a caregiver.
And Filipinos are more like
are well
good.
known for that.
We are well known
everywhere, even in Quebec, which is a French province. Everywhere you see Filipino caregivers, and also you don't have to meet the labor market impact assessment if you're invited by someone to be workgiver, and of course if you're certified caregiver and you have experience. So if you recently worked as a home child care provider or support worker, your experience counts toward the eligibility for permanent residence in Canada. That is for the caregiver program. Canada now, from 2019, started accepting the pathway for caregiver programs for 3 months between July 8 and October 8, 2019. They started accepting the new application. So the live-in care program file in Canada allows you also permanent resident in Canada for at least 2 years of work. But the conditions are you're already working in Canada with an LCP work permit. I'm not sure about who I'm talking to here. Some people might think in the Philippines I could just come like that. No,
Yep.
You already must have the experience in Canada. You must have an invitation to come to work as a caregiver in Canada. You must also be approved for LCP work permit based on a labor market impact assessment if it's your first time. And also deployment to Canada or before must have been done November 30, 2014, meaning you've been in Canada before also. That's one of the conditions. You worked and you left back to your country. You could reapply under new invitation. Now, you could also, under that program, apply under temporary work permit for caregivers, which is also for a certain amount of time. Let's say somebody needs you in Canada for 6 months. You could apply under that program that you want to come and work in Canada under the caregiver program only for 6 months. And that could be extended once you land in Canada. But the rules are being tighter and tighter lately. So if you land in Canada and you're doing work, you must leave after your visa expired because you could not extend it and turn it into a permanent residence immigration.
That's the only
You could apply for an extended work permit once you land in Canada and you finished your contract, but beside that, normally in most cases you must leave and reapply from
yeah,
outside.
and they've been debating
again.
about this one, you know, especially over
See, I'm reading a note here. As of June 18, 2019, will no longer process new work permits, application to work as an in-home caregiver. If you're applying from outside Canada, meaning no more. If you're applying through TFWP, which is the temporary worker caregiver, if you will be working outside of Quebec, meaning Quebec might take you, but the rest of Canada right now, since June 18 to 2019, they no longer need caregivers. Your employer applied for a caregiver program before or after June 18, 2019, it's not going to work. In most cases, you could apply to work permit to work in Canada temporary as a caregiver through a TFW program if you're in Canada and eligible to apply for work permit from inside Canada, meaning if you were already in Canada and you're reapplying because you want to stay in Canada. If you're outside Canada and your employer applied on your behalf because he wants to keep you in before June 18, 2019, or if you will be working in Quebec. These are the ways to come to Canada, because they closed the program of caring for children right now in Canada, from what I read online.
for now.
Yeah. There's another program that they started, I think, in June 19 also, June 18, 2019, Caring for People with High Medical Needs program. It says if you submit a complete application before June 18, again,
Before June 18.
before June 18, 2019, they will continue to process it. So do not waste your time applying after June 18, 2019, unless it's for Quebec. In Quebec, trust me, you need to be speaking French. If you don't speak French, do not even bother applying to Quebec. So that covers all the 3 points I wanted to discuss today. But there's one last point before we forget.
Okay.
You want to come to Canada as a tourist. Very easy. You got your sister, you got your brother, you got someone, even a friend who wants to invite you to Canada, and you want to come as a tourist to Canada. Easy. You go to the same website under Immigration Canada. I will provide the link. By the way, the link contains all the stuff I discussed with you, and they're all broken down. If you want to go under Express Work Permit, Caregiver, if you want a family sponsorship, they're all there, the links. For tourists, it's just better to explain to you verbally how it goes. If you want to come as a tourist to Canada, the person in Canada must invite you. So basically, he goes to the city hall, he fill up an application, he pays a fee, $15, $20, I think. And then he invites Joanna Lane, our CEO in this case. I invite her to come to Canada from that time to that time, and I want her to stay at my place, etc., etc. So once you receive the invitation, you have to use that invitation with your application, and you fill up the application for visitation to Canada, and the visa will be issued, no problem. The only thing is, when you're coming as a tourist, keep that in mind. A lot of people tend to think, I'm going to go to Canada, and once I'm in Canada, I'm going to apply for work permit, or I'm going to apply for permanent residence. It doesn't work. It's very difficult to process. Once you're inside Canada, inside applications takes longer than outside application. So as a tourist, when your visa is expired, you must leave the country. And also as a tourist, you must show funds, that you have money in the bank. I'm not sure about the amount. I did not check the information, but I have read before you must show at least you have $10,000 to spend in Canada. Of course, they want you to come as a tourist to spend. It doesn't mean that $10,000 has to be your money, or you have to blow it in Canada. Just you have to show it in the bank. 10,000, which is about 400,000 pesos.
Yeah,
right?
like $500,000 pesos something.
Yeah, $500,000 pesos. Show that in your account. Then you fill up your application. You get your invitation from Canada, and it's very easy. You land in Canada. I think coming as a tourist to Canada will allow you to see if you like to live in Canada.
Yeah.
If you want to come in the winter, a lot of people we tend
Are
to
so
see
excited about
so
snow.
excited about snow in Philippines, and oh, it's cold in the Philippines at plus 30. Canada is very cold, And the word cold, I keep saying it again, and I want to say it again. The word
guys
cold
have
in
no
the
idea.
Philippines, you guys have no idea what the word COLD means.
Especially here in Quebec.
Especially in Quebec and Alberta. Cold meaning
Freezer.
open the fridge and the freezer and put your head in the freezer and sit inside. That is cold. And the freezer, by the way, is like minus 15. Here we get double that, so it's really
Minus 40.
what minus 40 with the windshield factor. It's really cold. So if you want to visit Canada, I advise you to come and visit Canada during the summer and not during the winter. If you're excited about seeing snow, you're gonna come in the winter, but you're not gonna see much because you're gonna be freezing. And most of the time in Canada, we hibernate like bears. We stay inside. We only go
Yeah.
outside for shopping. We go
We
take a
don't
walk.
even want to
Sometimes
feel like going out or throwing the garbage outside. It's really like,
even if throwing the garbage is an issue. But the only plus thing is, you know, when we have bread and we have things we want to keep in the freezer, and your fridge doesn't have enough space, just open your balcony door or your front door. Just shove everything in the snow there. It's a freezer.
Yeah.
You are really in a freezer. So that is for tourist thing here, and also.
there's another one, the investor's visa. Also.
Investor visa is very tricky because I had a lot of friends who tried it from Dubai and they failed. Iranian people. Investor visa also under the business program, you will see it in the link also. I think it's required $300,000 investment.
By the way, this all falls in one website anyway.
It's all
right?
under the
They could
same
explore,
website.
They could check,
Everything I
etc.
told you. If you read the English, take your time, read all the information is there. The information that I just gave you verbally, it's on the website. I just resumed everything for you in a simple language. So basically, if you want to be an investor in Canada, you could. $300,000 is required, and not only the money is required. You must have a money in the bank, and you must have a program. Like, what do you want to do in Quebec? You want to open a business. You want to create jobs, at least 3-4 employees. Now, the employees later on could be anybody. Could be your wife, could be your children, could be your cousins, could be nobody. Once you land, but that's the process. You have to show that you have a company you want to open and you want to hire 2-3 people and you have $300,000. I've seen a lot of people come in under that program, and a lot of people attempted, and the program failed. They weren't accepted. I don't know if it was political, because in certain cases there were Arabs or
No, it depends
Iranians.
also from the origin of the country.
Origin of the country counts.
It's, yeah.
Like you see Venezuela right now, they're not accepting anybody from Venezuela. If you have a Venezuelan passport, they make it difficult for you. Iraqi, Syrian, all those war zone countries, they're accepted right now as refugees. They're taking them, no problem. Filipinos, they're not going to take them in Quebec, definitely, unless they're under family sponsorship, because it's a French-speaking province. Like, all the signs are in French. Everything's in French in Quebec.
Unless you are really, really like, you know, a French-speaking Filipinos, like.
And one thing I wanted to discuss, actually, she just reminded me, I lost the point before. I was just trying to think, what am I going to discuss? A lot of Filipino think, I'm going to go to Canada, I'm going to go to Alberta. That's all we hear, Alberta or Vancouver. Alberta, Canada is
BC,
huge.
Yeah, Toronto, BC, and all those things.
Canada is the second largest country in the world, okay? So we got all the provinces from east to west. In the east, I just want to explain to you, I'm in Montreal. So on my eastern side of Quebec, we got Nova Scotia, we got Newfoundland, you got Prince Edward Island, you got New Brunswick. New Brunswick, they speak French and English in the government's offices, but mostly people are bilingual there. So you could immigrate to the east. I've seen a lot of Filipinos there on Facebook.
Yep.
In the east of Canada, English speaking, and you could immigrate to the west. What you have to know about Western Canada is there's a lot of concentration of Asian people in Western Canada, which is Alberta and British Columbia. You got Chinese, you got Indians, you got Asian people, Japanese, you got Filipinos.
Korean.
They all Korean. They all tend to go to BC, British Columbia, and Alberta to settle there. So if you want to settle with the Filipino community, Alberta and BC would be the province for you. There's plenty of Asian people down there. Otherwise, if you want to get away from Filipino and you don't want to see Filipinos, come to Quebec. Well, actually, in Quebec also, there's a lot of Filipino. We have a big
Filipinos here in
community.
Montreal, Victoria, everywhere.
But-
we are everywhere. You go to Mars, you'll see Filipinos in
It's
Mars.
true,
again.
everywhere. And I'm originally Lebanese, so in Lebanon there's a lot of Filipinos too. I've seen them on YouTube also, and they're singing in Arabic. It's funny. And Anyway, we discussed all the programs in this video. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions,
if you have anything to add, also like more information to help our viewers on how to come to Canada, you are free to comment or put something, any opinion, whatever.
Yeah, if you have any question that crosses your mind,
opinions,
like something is not clear,
violent reactions, and
my English was too fast for you guys, nosebleed, just ask the question in Tagalog. Joanna will translate to me, no problem, and I will guide you through it. Just bear in mind, if you're accepted under any of those programs, you have to dish out $1,500 between the applications, and then once you're accepted under the federal, you have to dish out an additional $550. And Quebec, you have to reissue another check once you're accepted to come to Canada. So basically, it will cost you $1,000.
That is only from the sponsor's side.
$500.
Because we're gonna dish out money for the
Medical exam,
all
police
the
certificate.
formalities, paperwork.
So basically, $2,000 for 80,000 pesos. That's how much it's gonna cost you under all the programs to come to Canada.
If you are qualified.
And that is certain information, clear information. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. Comment below.
Yep.
And we'll be right back to you.
Yes, so that's it for now, guys.
Don't forget to please subscribe, like, and tell your friends about our channel, because we're trying hard here. So we'll appreciate it if you tell your friends. Gaman Filipino, you're 100 million people.
100 million Filipinos.
100 million Filipino. Just spread the word, comment below, and share the video.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
See you. Bye.
Bye.